Welcome you, and we're glad to have your energy as part of our community today. And if you're watching online, and I think Larry and Kathy are, hi Larry and Kathy. And we're grateful for those that are tuning in online as well. So we have a few announcements this morning. Okay, the Eye of the Storm is a course that I'm teaching beginning Wednesday, May the 1st. And if you would like to sign up for that course, we need about at least 5 people. I think we have 3 right now. The sign-up sheet is in the fellowship hall at the back. Sorry? Oh, we have 4. Well, see, we're growing already. So if you're interested in this course, it really teaches that it's not about blaming other people for what's going on our life. And so it's about really owning what's up for us and seeing that and even in the midst of conflict, that we can be calm and peaceful and be the eye of the storm. So there are 2 books required. The bookstore has a few of those. and we'll need to order some more if you are signing up. So please sign up today. Okay, Mother's Day pictures. Usually that's our tradition. We have a PowerPoint presentation on Mother's Day with pictures of you and your mom, you and your kids. And so if you'd like to send those into the Unity of London at hotmail.com, then that would be great. And Hilda will put together a slideshow for us. And Spirit Matters Bookstore is having a raffle, and so the tickets are 1 for $2, 3 for $5. A couple of baskets. They look quite lovely. So that would be something nice for you to buy a ticket for, and a great gift for Mom. All right. Well, today I opened up the booklet, Fasting and Feasting. I hope you've been enjoying this booklet. And I was reading, and I go, oh, there's my friend. So my friend in ministry, Reverend Linda Martella Whitsett, wrote the insert here. So I just want to share this today. The first is by Charles Fillmore. We must rise to the conscious realization that every thought of mind, every atom of body, every molecule of being, every function of nature, and every force is divine. And that all of these do and shall vibrate to the harmonies of spirit. This is the resurrection of man, woman. There is none other. And that's from his book, The Atom-Smashing Power of Mind. And my friend Linda writes, silence is my spiritual practice for digesting truth. After fasting, feasting. After feasting, resting. After resting, rising, fully nourished and fortified. At Easter, I rest in sacred silence, realizing my divine identity. Silently, I realize there is one and only one power, divine power. There is one and only one mind, divine mind. There is one and only one love, divine love. In restful silence, I rise into the mystery of the resurrection. I am the refreshing, renewing spirit of divine life, stirring into life my dreams and intentions. I am the tenacious spirit of divine order, buoyant and resilient. I am the light of divine love, an embracing presence of healing and renewal. And so would you affirm with me? I am the refreshing, renewing spirit of divine life. Refreshing, renewing spirit of divine life. I am the tenacious spirit. I am the tenacious spirit
of divine order.
Buoyant
and resilient.
And the last, I am the light of divine love. An embracing presence of healing and renewal. And that's the truth. And so it is. And let's stand and sing.
We are in a way, aren't we? Feel free to clap your hands for it. Sing it. Still light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Still light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Still light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I won't let anyone put it out, I'm gonna let it shine. I won't let anyone put it out, I'm gonna let it shine. I won't let anyone put it out, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine for all to see, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine for all to see, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine for all to see, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Spirit sets my light ablaze, I'm gonna let it shine. Spirit sets my light ablaze, I'm gonna let it shine. Spirit sets my light ablaze, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. The beat by night is harmony, I'm gonna let it shine.
Wednesday's foundation is an affirmative prayer. If you wish prayer for someone else or for yourself, you're invited to use our prayer box in the front here. Put a first name only on a piece of paper and place it in the box. No need to explain the situation, as God is all-knowing. It will be prayed over here at Unity by our prayer angels for 30 days, and then sent on to Silent Unity for additional prayer. Remember, 24 hours a day, you can call 1-800-NOW-PRAY to reach Silent Unity, where people have been praying with and for people for over 130 years. If you wish private one-on-one prayer, we have a prayer chaplain available to pray with you following today's service. You can meet our prayer chaplain in our prayer room and behind the screen here. Today's prayer chaplain is Sylvia. Please come forward and lead us into prayer.
I invite you to become comfortable in your chair and take your awareness from your head and into your heart space. If you're comfortable, to close your eyes. And as you settle into your heart space, become aware of that life force that's flowing through your heart, through your body. And we invite and welcome all spiritual gatherings into our prayer, for we know there are many paths to the one God. We also include in our prayer today Unity Comcox Valley and Unity of Nanaimo, both in BC. And I invite you to take a few moments and whisper the name of anyone else that you'd like to bring into this prayer. As we become aware of that Christ presence within our heart, the essence of who we each and every one of us are is divine love. Whether it's the person beside you or the person across the other side of the world, we are all one with that love. And today, on this fabulous Easter Sunday, we allow that Christ presence and that light to shine brighter and brighter. And we know that we have all the power, the God-given love and power within us to transform our lives and to rise up above any situation each and every one of us is dealing with. We see this happening for everyone that's hearing my voice and beyond, knowing that at this moment we are making a difference. And we can do that moment by moment. And we take the time to decide, yes, I will do that moment by moment. And so it is.
And now for our message from the Daily Word brought to you by Silent Unity. I am resurrected into the life, light, and power of God. The Gospel of Matthew shares that the women who discovered the empty tomb on Easter morning left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy and ran to tell his disciples. On the way, Jesus appeared to them, stating, "Tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." Charles Fillmore explains, every time we rise to the realization of eternal, indwelling life, making union with the Father mind, the resurrection of Jesus takes place within us. On Easter Sunday, I rise from the tomb of limitation. I follow Jesus to Galilee. The rich consciousness of vitality that becomes mine when I fully accept my Christ nature. I am resurrected into the life, light, and power of God. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." From Matthew 28, verse 10.
The song about the opportunity for all of us to resurrect our lives and our hopes and build a solid future with it. when the waves roll on over the waters and the ocean cries. We look to our sons and daughters to explain our lives. As it were a child to tell us why. As sure as the sunrise, as sure as the sea, as sure as the wind in the trees, we rise again in the faces of our children. We rise again in the voices of our song. We rise again in the waves out of the ocean. And then we rise again. The light grows dark with the forces of creation across the stormy sky. We look to reincarnation to explain our lives. As if a child could tell us why. As sure as the sunrise, as sure as the sea, as sure as the wind in the tree, we rise again in the faces of our children. We rise again in the voices of our song. We rise again in the waves out on the ocean. And then we rise again. We rise again in the faces of our children. We rise again in the voices of our song. Rise again in the waves out of the ocean. And then we rise again. And then we rise again.
My name is Mary. I'm from the village of Magdala. Perhaps you've heard of me, though I'm not the woman that I once was. And that's because I met the Master, Joshua ben Joseph, a man like no other. When he looked at you, it was as if he was looking straight through to your soul. And he saw me like no one else ever had, with such love and compassion. I never once thought I had to look away from his gaze. His mother was one so pure of spirit. It said that when she conceived him without knowing any man. And the night that he was born, there was a star in the sky that was so bright that it guided holy men from faraway lands to bring gifts to the baby. At a young age, he knew that he was to be about his father's business. And the priests in the temple were amazed at his knowledge of Scripture and his wisdom. But for me, it was those eyes. When I looked in those eyes, I changed. I wasn't proud of the woman that I once was. They say that I was possessed of 7 demons. Children, when they walked by me, would spit at where I stood. Such a lowly candidate to follow one so pure of heart. But that's just it. It was because of his love, the love of the Master, that I changed. I was no longer possessed of demons. I felt free because of the way that he looked into my soul. I changed. And I wasn't the only one. There was Peter and John, Matthew the tax collector, even Judas. We all changed as we basked in the glow of his love. I remember one time that a crowd of men brought him this woman who had been charged with the crime of adultery. Jewish law said that you had to stone this woman. But Jesus looked at this crowd and he said, "Let he among you who is without sin cast the first stone." And then he leaned down and he wrote something in the sand. I couldn't see what it was because by the time I got there, the water had washed it away. But each man who walked up and read what was written dropped their stone and walked away. Remarkable. There was another time that we were traveling to Bethpage, and neighbors and friends of Lazarus came running out to us, and they were screaming and crying. They were just beside themselves because Lazarus was sick, and they wanted the master to come quickly to heal him. But you know what? The master didn't even quicken his pace. As we got closer to Lazarus' home, Martha and Mary, his sisters, came running out, and they were weeping and crying, and they were angry as well. And they said to Joshua, "If only you had come sooner, Lazarus would still be alive." He merely asked them to take him to where Lazarus lay. So we walked to the tomb where Lazarus had laid for 4 days, wrapped in burial cloth. It smelled like death. But the master stood there, and with such power he called, "Lazarus, come forth." And out of the tomb came this man, Lazarus, wrapped in burial cloth. We were all so amazed. But Jesus, he just smiled. Word of his fame began to travel. And the Pharisees, for them, the priests rather, it was the last straw for them. They saw Jesus as far too dangerous, and they started to plot to kill him. Quite simply, the Sadducees saw him as a threat to their order, and the Pharisees, for once, agreed with them. And so there was a trial. It was a travesty of justice. They kept asking him, "Are you the Son of God? Are you the Son of God?" And all that he would say was, "You say I am." He wouldn't defend himself. He wouldn't defend himself. Well, the sentence for blasphemy and heresy was crucifixion. If the cowardly Sanhedrin had had their way, they would have stoned him to death. The day of his death, it was the worst day. They made him carry this heavy, heavy cross. And he had to carry it all the way through the town, through the city gates, out to the place of the skull. They had beaten and flogged him. And as he carried the cross, they teased him. They kept saying, "If you're the Messiah, save yourself." We couldn't understand why this was happening. We were so shocked. Why didn't he save himself? But I now know that when he entered into Jerusalem, he knew what was going to happen. He had told us that where I go, you can't follow. But we didn't understand. We were confused. What did he mean? We were his followers. What did he mean? Peter denied knowing him, and Judas hung himself. Why didn't he save himself? They nailed him to the cross. Such horrific pain. Such a cruel thing to do to someone who was so filled with love and only preached love. They called him the Lamb of God, and they sacrificed him right in front of me. And I stood at the foot of the cross, my heart breaking. He looked down on everyone, and he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And then, even though it was high noon, the land became totally dark. And for the next 3 hours, it was dark and nothing was said. Until finally, we heard Jesus say, "Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit." And he breathed his last breath. But that's not the end of the story. At sunset, Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus came, and they took Jesus' body off the cross. They wrapped him in linens, and they took him to a tomb. And they rolled a stone in front of the tomb, and a guard was placed there, because the Romans didn't want someone to come and take the body. We were to prepare the spices and the anointing oils, but we couldn't anoint the body because it was the Sabbath, so we had to wait. The next morning at dawn, we went to the tomb, and we saw something magnificent. The stone had been rolled away, and there was a bright light coming from within the tomb. And when we went inside, there were 2 men sitting there. Their light was almost too bright to look at. And they asked, "Why do you look for the living amongst the dead? Your master is not here." I was horrified. Where could the master be? Who took the master's body? And I went and I looked for Peter and John and told them what had happened, and they came racing back to the tomb with me, and they looked, and then they left. I couldn't leave. I was just weeping. Where is my master? And then I saw a man off in the distance. And so I ran to him. I thought it was the gardener. And I asked him, "Where have they taken my master's body?" And he looked at me. And he said, "Miriam." And I saw those eyes. And I saw that it was the master. And I wanted to touch him, and he warned me against touching him. And he said, "Go and tell the others what you have seen. Go and tell the others that I am alive. And I did. The message of Easter. The resurrection story is a story that gives us such hope that our bodies, when they are laid in the ground, when they are dead, that we do not die, that the Spirit of God within us lives on. And this was one of the messages that Jesus came to teach us. Aside from the core message, love thy neighbor as thyself, it was that there is no death, that we yet live on. That our resurrection isn't just something to celebrate once a year. As we go through Lent and our fasting and then we come to a place of feasting. That it's not a one time of the year to celebrate our Christ nature. But rather to know that day to day, whenever we have something to face that is challenging us, that we can rise above it. Remember last Sunday we talked about rising above our animal consciousness into our spiritual consciousness. That we can have a daily resurrection experience. And Jesus showed us how. He said, these things I do and more you too can do. You too can do. So today we have, that wasn't there. Okay. So today we have a flower ceremony to celebrate both the resurrection of Jesus and to celebrate your resurrection experience as well. And so I'm going to have our prayer chaplains join me. And as you come forward, we will give you a flower. And whenever you're ready, we're ready. And you can just come this way and then just, go around.
You are my family. stay with me so much.
You are my family. You are my family. You are the face of love. Face of love. You are the face of God. Face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my arms. You are a You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face of You are the face of Savior. You are the face of 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 You are the
Another good one. You got this
You are the face of God. I hold you in. You are a You are the face. You are the face of God. I hold you in. You are a You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my
Just join us in singing this pre-meditation song.
How it goes. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace. I can hear the rush of angels and wings, see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place. Do it again. I get it right this time. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace.
of her energy to invite you to place your hand on your heart and affirm, God is, I am. God is, I am. And really feel those words. God is, I am. And take that feeling of holiness, wholeness into the rest of this glorious day, to show up as the risen Christ, rising above old ways of being, old negativity, rising up into your Christ way of being. We take that out into the world and we bless not only ourselves but everyone that we come in contact with. And so it is. And so we let it be. Amen.
Alleluia, 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 alleluia,
Thank you, Reverend Lori, for sharing your yet another gift. I didn't know you were an actress. Wow, that was amazing in such heartfelt way. Thank you. And also for the reminder to rise above. I know I've had a bit of a hard time lately, but it's sure is good to remember that. Thank you. Now it's time for giving and receiving our tithes and offerings. Our unity principles teaches we are one with God, source, and so we give not to source, but as source. Giving has been described as a spiritual practice of radical generosity.
Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Well, as we move through our lives, we discover, if we're lucky, there are lots of good things we can do. There are lots of positive things we can do on our own, but sooner or later, we're going to need a little help. And it's nice to know that when we need that help, the Spirit is there waiting for us. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sail for a distant shore, far from the life I've known. I wanted better than before, so I really had to go. see. I just let go and gave control to a greater power than me. I don't have to see the sun to know it warms my skin. I don't have to feel the cold to know there's warmth within. Spirit steers me every day, guides my shaking hand. No matter where my ship may go, it leads me to thy land. I may be the captain of my soul and pretend I'm in control of things I cannot do myself. Spirit leads my soul. Spirit leads my soul. Things I cannot do myself. Spirit leads my soul. You and I and all of us sometimes feel alone. Way of living every day feels like a heavy stone. Though we may not see a friend, and always one at hand, the sweet spirit walks beside us now toward our promised land. Maybe the captain of my soul and pretend I'm in control of the things I cannot do myself. Spirit leads my soul. Maybe the captain of my soul and pretend I'm in control of the things I cannot do myself. Spirit leads my soul. Things I cannot do myself. Spirit leads my soul. Spirit leads my soul. Spirit leads my soul.
Okay, so let's bless our tithes and offerings. Just go to our heart space and we feel gratitude for all the givers of these gifts. For the way that this ministry shows up as a community, a healing community, a loving community, a giving community. And what we give into this ministry goes out from this ministry as well. So we see this offering expanding, multiplying, and doing good. And so it is. Amen. Let's stand and sing.
Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me, let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me.
I'd like to invite you. If you are visiting anyone today and you think that they would enjoy having a flower, then certainly there's some flowers left and you can take those with you. So, once a year we do this grand celebration of Easter. And yet it's really a daily activity to rise above, to live as the Christ. And so I pray that you take that message forward into each day and week, remembering that you are the Christ, a powerful spiritual being, having this wondrous human experience. I was told once that there are thousands of souls waiting for a body to have a human experience. And that just makes it all the more valuable that we get to walk this earth. We get to be love in action. We get to be spirit in a body. How great is that? And so we pray our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yay, God!
Spread the word of what unity can offer. Spread the word of the message that you heard. Spread the word of what it means in your life. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread the word of all the things we shared this morning. Spread the word that you're surrounded here by love. Spread the word. Our doors and hearts are open. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread the word to anyone who's lost and lonely. Spread the word. We extend a hand of love. Spread the word. Spirit welcomes all who join us. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread the word of what unity can offer. Spread the word. The ring of peace and love. Spread the word. Our doors and hearts are open. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. One holy baby.
Thank you.